Please, can you commence the broadcast and confirm?
The broadcast has started, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Partnership Development Group. Before we commence with the proceedings, I can confirm the Council has adopted some basic etiquette rules for its remote meetings, and these are as follows. Please only speak when the Chairman invites you to do so. Members, please let the Chairman know that you wish to speak through the chat function. The Chairman will introduce speakers in the order which the request to speak has been made, unless there is a point of order at which we will give way. Please minimise all distractions while you are in the meeting. Members, you are asked to mute your microphones when you're not speaking and to consider turning off your video feed if there is interference on your connection. Please bear in mind that there may be a slight lag between speakers and attendees hearing. There are no presentations for this evening. However, if they have been shared, they'll be shared by shared screen. And if there are any issues, please indicate on the chat function. When referring to the report, please quote the page and paragraph number. There is no private business for this evening's meeting. However, please can I remind members that it is their responsibility to ensure that their venue and connection is private. If you lose connection at all during this meeting, please attempt to rejoin the meeting. And if you have any persistent problems, please contact me in the office. Alternatively, you can contact me by email. Please only use the chat function for the purpose prescribed for requesting to speak or for a point of order. The chat function is subject to the Access to Information regime of FOI and EIR. It's also subject to data protection and rules of defamation and the Council's Code of Conduct. For this meeting, members of the Partnership Development Group are identified with a prefix of PDG-CLLI before their name. Officers in attendance, I have a prefix of officer. There is a minute taken for this meeting. Jessica Mann, and I am the meeting facilitator, Emma Wisby. The Partnership Development Group consists of the following members. The Chairman is Councillor Mary Cunningham. The Vice Chairman is Councillor Ian Pritchard. The remainder of the committee are Councillor Hensman, Councillor John Ball, Councillor George Courtauld, Councillor Trevor McArdle, Councillor Jackie Powell, Councillor Jenny Sandham, Councillor Paul Thorogood. I can confirm the meeting is quorum and can proceed. This evening, we have received apologies from Councillor Sandham and Councillor Thorogood. Chairman, for this evening, we do have one member who has difficulties with his connections to the meeting. That is Councillor Trevor McArdle. He can hear the meeting and he can hear the colleagues. Councillor McArdle, can you just give a thumbs up confirmation that you can hear? Thank you very much. Councillor McArdle will be engaging with the meeting through the chat function, and Chairman, I will be assisting Councillor McArdle and yourself to identify that he wishes to raise a question. He will pose his question on the chat function and I will read that out on his behalf, and I will seek confirmation from Councillor McArdle that I have read his question. Chairman, that is all the matters for the start of this meeting, so please may I hand the meeting over to you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Emma, very much. Good evening, everyone. I would like to start by welcoming you all to this virtual meeting of the Partnership Development Group. My name is Councillor Mary Cunningham and I will be chairing this meeting. I'm being assisted by a governance officer and a meeting facilitator who will help me identify when people want to speak and manage the notifications through the chat function. I obviously can't see you all. Actually, I think probably I can tonight. But anyway, if you have any problems with connections, if you could identify that using the chat function. Please also remember to mute your microphone when you finish speaking. Members, for this meeting, when I seek your agreement, silence will be taken as assent. As a point of note, I can confirm that Councillor Andrew Hensman has now been appointed as a member of this committee. A warm welcome to Councillor Hensman. As the meeting facilitator has confirmed the attendance of members and officers for the meeting, I shall now proceed with the business of the meeting. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence. We have been made aware that we have apologies from Councillor Mrs Sandham and Councillor Thorogood. Now, I will now move to agenda item 2, minutes of the previous meeting. Members, for this item, I will be seeking your agreement, therefore silence will be assent. However, if a member wishes to raise an issue in respect of the minutes, please indicate via the chat function. Do any members have any objection to the approval of the minutes as an accurate record of the meeting held on the 23rd of September?
Chairman, we have Councillor Courtauld who's raised an issue regarding
a typo, please.
A typo, right?
I mean, just very trivial, Madam Chairman, but there is a typo on page 3 under the recommendation 8 paragraph. When is repeated.
Right. Okay. Has that been noted for amendment?
Yes, Chairman. The minutes can be approved subject to that typographical amendment.
Thank you. Any other members have anything?
Chairman,
No.
Chairman, sorry, could I just invite you, Councillor McArdle? Obviously, he's having difficulty this evening, just to indicate with a thumbs up whether he's happy to proceed. He's indicated he's happy to proceed. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor McArdle. Thank you, members.
Chairman, you've had silence to agree the minutes, so they can be approved. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, members. We now proceed to item 3, declarations of interest. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Do members have any disclosable pecuniary interest, other pecuniary interest, or non-pecuniary interest that they wish to declare this evening? Please state the item and the nature of your interest. Please indicate you wish to speak in the chat function. No, nothing there. If there are no more declarations, I will proceed to item 4, public question time. Agenda item 4, public question time. There are no registered speakers for this evening's public question time, so I will proceed to item 5, scrutiny review into leisure provision in the Braintree district and access to sport, final report. So agenda item 5, members, this report is set out on pages 5 to 18 of your agenda. As the chairman of the committee, I will set out the report. Right. I will just go through a brief overview of the report. One of the key aims of the scrutiny review was to identify what the picture of sports provision within the Braintree district looked like. As part of the scrutiny review into leisure provision and access to sport, key questions we wanted to address were the picture of sports availability, what partnerships there are to support groups, what involvement does the council have directly through Fusion, what is the accessibility of facilities for groups, what impact can the council have with partners to support groups. We looked at partnerships that the council are involved in relation to leisure and sport provision. These include Fusion and Active Braintree Foundation. We received presentations from Joby Hum, BDC Leisure and Heritage Manager, John Wood, Chairman of the Active Braintree Foundation, and other representations from local communities, including Councillor Mrs Anne Hooks, Chairman of Rain Parish Council, who spoke to us regarding provision in the village of Rain. Also officers from BDC Planning who gave insight into Section 106 contributions from new developments and how they relate to sports provision. A detailed survey was sent to parish and town councils to identify the sports provision in each particular area. We are very grateful that a good number in the district responded. We had some excellent conversations during these fact-finding meetings, and I know we were all grateful for those contributions. The recommendations are set out at the end of the report. We agreed those in principle at our last meeting in September. On agreement of the report tonight by the Partnership Development Group, this report will go to December full council for debate and discussion. A full response will be given by the Cabinet member at a Cabinet meeting following full council. So, members, please can I remind you that this session marks your last opportunity to make any minor amendments to the final report. This is typos, not a redraft of the report, before it is submitted to full council, should you wish to do so. Bearing this in mind, do any members wish to speak on this item? If you do, please indicate via the chat function. I have Councillor Mrs. Pell would like to speak.
Thank you, Chairman. I think first of all, I'd like to thank you for chairing the meetings that we've had. I think you've been very fair to everybody and to those people who attended, and it gave us a good look into what we have within our district and how perhaps we can make it better, and also made us aware of things going on in our district that we were not aware of. I acted as your vice chairman for one meeting, and I know how hard you worked for that particular meeting, and I know you must have done in the others as well, behind the scenes before the actual meeting takes place. And I'd also like to say thank you to Ron Ramage, who was your vice chairman before he left the council. I found that the actual committee itself has been one way of getting to know other councillors within a small group that we wouldn't normally meet. And particularly now that we cannot meet at full council, it's given us a better depth of how we can work together. But what we have achieved is a good insight of what is on offer. I think one good example is Park Run. I know they have them in all counties, and that Park Run is very popular and it is sort of great. It's also given us insight to what other parishes and town councils are doing. I mean, and other members around the table will have examples in their own wards and towns as well. I mean, I know from my town how the boxing club, it's well known all over the country with its boxers, and it's joined with the Essex University road runners, and they come into all your patches as well. And we have lots of other groups than that as well. I think the saddest thing is in the middle of all this work that we've been doing, we've been hit by the lockdown and COVID, and we had that talk from Joby Hunn and Fusion. And when we all know around this table how hard this has hit Fusion, with all our leisure facilities having to close down, which affects our children's health and adults' health. And I just feel so sorry for everybody, and I'm hoping that one day we can get it all back together again. We talked in the report of how few schools were taking part in the Run the Mile. But when we look at what COVID's done, those children haven't been at school. So we've really got to push for the recommendations that we've got to hope that when things get back to normal, that we can once again encourage people to get fit and healthy, and for all the other bodies like planning and that to take on board the things that we've been trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mrs. Powell, for your comments. I agree, actually. I think it's given us a huge insight into what is going on in the district. And I mean, I've been surprised how much there is going on in the way of sports provision and leisure that I had no idea about, and I know other members feel the same. So thank you for that, Councillor Mrs. Powell. My next one, I think, is Councillor Pritchard.
Thank you, Chair. Well, an excellent overview there by Councillor Pell of what's gone on in the last period of time. Bearing in mind that this is my first involvement in a scrutiny committee, I've enjoyed it immensely. I'm looking forward to the next challenges that come for this group. I mean, we started this, believe it or not, in August 19, I think. So, you know, it feels like a while ago when we actually kicked this off. But despite that time passing, I think we should be proud of the sound and relevant recommendations that we're going to bring forward here. The key for me really is what a lot of the recommendations touch on is communication. And that means communication both with the parish councils, town councils, and also with our residents about what is available in the district. As Councillor Pell outlined, we've got a number of facilities, some of which members of the committee weren't aware of, and I'm pretty sure there'll be members of our district that aren't aware of. So really, communication is going to be the key to driving the outcome I think we all want from this review. So that's really what I wanted to say. I'm really delighted to be appointed vice chairman for the next review, and I really look forward to rolling my sleeves up and getting involved with Councillor Cunningham in that regard and helping her with her hard work. I do have a couple of little minor typos that I just wanted to mention that might get carried forward if we were to, when we present this, hopefully we will, to full council and cabinet. On the executive summary, the second recommendation has got an errant "the" between review and "why" on the first line, which just needs to get removed. And then I noticed right at the very end of the report, where we summarise on page 18, where we summarise the agendas of the meetings, they're all down as 2020, which unfortunately, of course, they weren't. They were, 3 of them were in 2019. So we just need to correct those dates. But that's all I had to comment on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pritchard. I've got now Councillor Ball wishing to speak. Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd like to thank you very much for your chairmanship of this group. It's been excellent. There's an excellent report. I'd like to endorse Councillor Pell's sort of statement she made at the beginning. Regarding COVID, obviously, as far as organised sports, that's had a retrograde effect. But there is one good effect. Whenever my wife and I go out, sometimes with a friend, for our allowable exercise, we find there are more people than ever going for long walks. And hopefully when things get back to normal, whatever normal is, then that activity will translate into the whole variety of activities that are listed in the report. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Yes, I think the majority of this work was carried out before the COVID pandemic, but I feel we've got a report and recommendations relevant and useful to the authority in 2021, despite any future uncertainties. But going back to Councillor Pritchard's comments, thank you for your nice comments, but thank you all for your participation. This was my first meeting or first committee that I have chaired, and I must say I have been greatly helped by yourselves, because you have all got very engaged in it, and that makes a huge difference. So I hope that that you all continue to enjoy it as much as you say you do, and look forward to working with you on the next topic. I'd like actually at this opportunity to thank Jessica for her help and hard work working with us and putting the report together. So thank you, Jessica, and the other governance team who give us support. So thank you to all of you. Now, members, if there's no one else wishing to speak, we are recommended to consider the final scrutiny review report and approve the recommendations for referral to full council and cabinet. Is there a member who wishes to move the recommendations? If you could indicate on the chat function. I can see Councillor Mrs. Pell has raised her hand. Thank you, Councillor Mrs. Pell. Is there a seconder for the report? Was that Councillor Ball? Councillor Ball, thank you very much. Members, the recommendations have been moved and seconded. I will now proceed to the vote, which I will conduct as a roll call. Members, when I call your name, please can you respond with your vote for, against or abstain. Councillor Hensman.
I'll go for, Madam Chairman, even though I have no part to play in it.
Thank you, Councillor Hensman. Councillor Ball.
For.
Councillor Courtauld.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs. Pell.
For.
Councillor Pritchard,
4.
Councillor McArdle.
Chairman, I can confirm that Councillor McArdle has put on the chat function that his vote is for the recommendation.
Thank you, members. The recommendation is approved. Now, just to let you know that as a chair of one of the scrutiny committees, we have had a meeting to review future topics, and we're just awaiting terms of reference where we will be looking at enforcement by the authority as the next scrutiny review. So that will be our next topic for our January meeting. Members, this concludes our business for this evening, so I will close this meeting of the Partnership Development Group at 7:35. Very short meeting tonight. I think this must be one of the shortest. Thank you, members, for your attendance this evening, and to those watching the broadcast via the Council's YouTube channel. I will now have...
Sorry, apologies, Chairman. Councillor Ball has just indicated that he wishes to speak.
I'm sorry, Councillor Ball.
Yes, I was just wondering, is that enforcement in every direction, or is it just for planning? Or
Chairman, would you like me to take this for you?
I would be very happy for you to take that, Emma. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bohr, as you are aware, as obviously one of our long-standing members, every year members are invited to put forward topics to go forward for scrutiny. Now, the topic has been selected by the scrutiny chairman as a topic to go forward, but at the moment we are just refining the terms of reference because, as you know, enforcement is a very broad topic for the organisation, and it's something that if we looked at all areas, it could be take a number of years to get through all the various functions. So at the moment, when the topic was submitted, it didn't give a specific area to be examined. As one of the lead officers working with the head of governance and the support, we've sort of looked at the original submission and discussed it with the chairman to see what areas it could capture, because obviously we want all scrutiny to be meaningful and accessible. And at the moment, one of our biggest challenges is officer support for this, because obviously working in this pandemic, we have got a burden on our resources. So we are looking to look at in 3 parts essentially. One, for members to understand the council's function as an enforcement authority, because there's quite often a misunderstanding around the powers, the duties and the obligations on enforcement, and where that comes in and how long it takes to get into an enforcement position. We're going to also look at a suitable service to explore enforcement with. Planning is one of the areas that have been identified, but at this stage I can't confirm whether it will be the service area, because we're very mindful of what we need to do, and obviously not knowing when this pandemic is going to come to an end and how our future meetings will go through. We've been very cautious in promising on resources that we know are going to be impacted upon. So there will be a service area that we will be exploring enforcement with, and then we are going to look at the an element of partnership on the enforcement, because obviously you are the partnership focused scrutiny committee. So that's the area it's going to be examined. So where we are currently, as the chairman has explained, the 4 chairmen have selected a topic. We're working to refine the terms of reference, and then once the terms of reference have been refined and ready for publishing, we'll make those available to the committee in due course. But at the moment, I can't be specific as to the service. What we will guarantee, it will be a meaningful scrutiny into enforcement powers, but I have to sort of caveat that with that we have to be cautious in how we commit resources, because of obviously a lot of our enforcement officers are currently working with the COVID enforcement and compliance regime. So when we've got further information for you, we will share that as soon as we can. Is that okay?
Thank you very much, Emma.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Emma. Thank you, Councillor Ball. Right, so we'll start that last bit again. Close of meeting. This concludes our business for this evening. We'll close this meeting of the Partnership Development Group at 7:40. Thank you, members, for your attendance this evening, and to those watching the broadcast via the Council's YouTube channel. I will now hand over to the meeting facilitator. I'm not sure if it's Chloe or Emma now, or is it still Emma?
I will take over. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank
Thank you, Chairman.
you, Emma.